So we had a virtual cuppa, didn't we?
We did.
And then it turns out, as we were talking about clients and what type of work you were doing and stuff like that, we had a person in common.
Yeah, how funny is that? I think it was moments like that made me realize what a small world we actually live in because it was so random.
Yasmin Batting, welcome to Rad-Ventures, the podcast that takes you on an exhilarating journey through the lives of business owners and entrepreneurs. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
You're most welcome. So before you introduce yourself to our listeners / watchers, I'm going to tell everyone a brief history of us. Hopefully my listeners and watchers know by episode, I don't know what episode you are, 30 odd. No, 20, late 20s, I think you are.
Oh.
Hopefully they know that in 2020, I set up a small business. I was part of a little franchise where we were called licensees, not franchisees. And we kind of connected on Instagram. So that was probably around this time 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we'd have a backwards and forwards, all of your stuff and stuff like that. And then one day we decided we'd have a conversation, like a quick virtual cuppa. That's what we used to call them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't had a virtual cuppa for ages.
I know, those were the days. It was COVID.
So yeah, we had a virtual cuppa, didn't we?
We did.
And then it turns out, as we were talking about clients and what type of work you were doing and stuff like that, I was learning your story back then. Even then, that's about. I'd say that was probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I think I was.
COVID.
Yeah, just after COVID. Yeah. So we were having the old "What do you do? What's your story?" kind of virtual cuppa, as it were. And it turns out that actually we had a person in common that wasn't on the small business circuit.
No.
One of your clients, Simon, was actually my orthopedic surgeon who replaced my hip.
Yeah, how funny is that? I was literally working with anyone and kind of everyone, and Simon was one of my clients, and it was just such a. I think it was moments like that made me realize what a small world we actually live in because it was so random.
Kismet, I think Thomas Hardy would say, wasn't it? Is that what he said? Yeah. Okay. So that's us in a nutshell. But I won't go any further because basically, from what we had on that conversation, is what we want to talk about in this podcast episode, which is your story. So tell us who you are, Yasmin. Tell us what you do.
So my name is Yasmin. I also go by the business name Aloha Social. I've evolved a fair few times, but now that is my business name. I am a travel and destination marketer. So I help travel, leisure, tourism businesses to basically spark wanderlust in a way that's sustainable, authentic, and manageable as well. I think social media has become one of those things that is just feels out of reach a lot of the time. It feels like I can't do it. It's a chore. My job is to make you fall back in love with your socials. And in return, your community will fall in love with you.
I love that. I love the travel thing as well. I watched a couple of YouTube videos where they kind of do a little bit of traveling and stuff. I'm like, that's a good job to have. One of my favorites at the minute is Noel Phillips, and he's like an aviator traveler. He basically just gets on a plane and talks about it. And I can't stop watching it, but he goes all over the world.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, I bet he's got a team already. Yeah.
I know. Well, if you're out there listening, Noel, let me know. I'll help you out.
I am going to see if Noel wants to come on the podcast. I mean, he's big, like 360,000 subscribers on YouTube.
You never know.
But you never know. You don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
Okay, so social media then. I love to hate it, I must confess.
Yeah. You're not alone.
When I set up as a freelance administrator or whatever it is, virtual assistant, all the kind of buzzwords around that. So actually, I now call myself consultant administrator.
Oh, I love that.
I know. It sounds posh, doesn't it?
Of like admin. Love it.
But social media, though, I didn't realize when I set up that I was going to have to become a social media experting as well as an admin expert. Along with many small business owners, because that's our shop window, right?
It is. I actually, funny enough, describe social media like a virtual high street, especially in COVID. I think it exploded, and I became a freelancer in COVID. Well, just a little bit just before, but that was when I kind of peaked. And yeah, I called it a virtual high street. So it's about like how are you gonna make your window shiny, shiny, and attract those passers by as if you were in the high street.
Over the period then
Yeah.
of my 4 years full time,
Mm,
nearly 5 years since having a small business,
mm,
um, I have been stuck
mm,
on a 700 followers until very recently,
mm-hmm.
where I started posting these clips of this podcast
Nice.
and doing some stories, and now
Yeah.
it's growing a little bit. But stagnant accounts,
Yeah.
which I know there's a load of buzzwords that surround them, and I know through watching old Adam Masuri on Instagram
Hmm.
that people like to blame the algorithm,
Yeah.
people like to blame the what do they call it,
Yeah.
shadow banning,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they have all sorts of excuses. I mean, mine was probably my content was too poor. I should probably outsource it. Um,
But you know what? Actually, like on that, a lot of the time, like I said, we all blame the algorithms and everything like that. My philosophy in 2024 was it's the content. Like you can blame everything else all you like, but I guarantee, I know like we'll probably get to it. I'll talk about what kind of content is actually working and peaking for most accounts who are looking to grow and who have been a bit stagnant. But yeah, it's all down to the content in my view, and that's really helped me channel my social media marketing, and the same for my clients as well. Just focus on the content itself.
yeah, I think the
Yeah.
problem nowadays, for me certainly, is that it's not only is it a second job,
Mm-mm.
it's you need your hook, you
Yeah.
need your
USP.
educational content, or you need
Yeah.
your entertainment content, or your pillars. That's the word I'm trying to think
I
of.
was literally thinking your pillars. I was like, don't forget your content pillars. They're still
Yeah,
very much essential.
and it's all like you've got to do this at the same time as you're running a business. I mean, before we hit record, we talked about it's the 31st of January today, and so
Oh yeah.
you can probably tell with us both being freelancers that the bag's certainly under my eyes.
Yeah, and mine
You
as
look,
well.
yeah, I was gonna say you look radiant as ever, but
Mine aren't bags. They're just puffy. They're the other way. I'm like,
uh, yeah. So
green
that
time.
that's the stress of the tax man,
Yes.
or the tax person, should I say, in this
Yeah.
day and age.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, but we did talk about it before, but we won't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll
That'll
come
be a
back to
whole
social.
other episode.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode. We
Hmm.
should have like a round robin. I think you can have
Yeah.
eight in a yeah, I think you can have eight in a Riverside room. We could
Yeah.
do the tax person and HMRC in a whole episode.
You
I'm gonna put
can't
that
blame
down
the
in my
bank,
ideas group.
but you can blame the tax man.
Always blame the tax person. Yeah. Right, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about when you were younger,
Mm.
and we'll start your story. So I'm not from around the south coast. I'm from the
Mm.
north, and I'm pretty sure that I had a careers advice appointment
Mm.
where I went and she went, "What type of thing have you got in mind?" And then she kind of gave me like a way to get there. And I think I wanted to be a solicitor at the time, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But did you have that down here?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it was all about the career, 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 career. Like, I mean, it was the buzzword of like when you were 16 to 18, everyone was talking about careers. And I think like it's fine, but you need to know your child at the end of the day. If you have a kid, like I was very creative, and I think um it wasn't quite picked up on enough. Like I was very musical back then. I was really like taking my instrument very seriously, and I wanted to study it. But it was that era where it was like, "Ugh, you can't be a musician for a living. What are you talking about?" But I was like, no, if I really study this one thing, I'll get really good at it, and then I'll make a real living out of it. And then I kind of like, to be fair, it was partly my fault. I take responsibility. I should have voiced that a bit more. But I was the kind of kid that was like, I'll go with the flow. Whatever my parents tell me to do, I'll do it,
Mm.
you know? And so I take responsibility for that. I can blame my parents all I like for not studying my favorite instrument. But at the end of the day, I didn't voice it enough. But so then, yeah, ended up on a random path, I'd say. I was like, what's the next best thing I like to do? And it was TV. I wanted to be a television presenter.
Okay.
And so went through the motions of studying media studies at uni, as they said. Went through 3 years of real studying. I did take a year off. I traveled the world. Luckily, my parents were actually working abroad, so I just went with them. And then I just worked and did my own thing and just came back, had a base. So that was nice. But yeah, when it came to careers, it was like I was so lost in that time. But I thought, okay, I'll channel this media thing. I remember so well, got to the last week of my bloody degree, and I was like, I'm so ready for work. What do you got for me in the careers department? And they said, oh, we don't really know how to help you get into television. And I'm like, but I just did a 3 year degree in it, and your uni said it was a great uni to launch into a media career. No, it turns out you should have been a runner in London, working in the production studios, and I didn't know that. And nobody I knew was in the industry. I had done a couple of pilot shows at my school, funny enough, before that when I was 18. So I had that kind of presenting experience, and I thought, this is it, I'm going to get into it. But no, I was given the complete wrong advice and got very lost from there on.
Oh no. So thoughts on that then?
Yeah.
I went to well after a false start because I
Yeah.
probably didn't voice what I wanted to do
Mm.
and didn't realize at the time because when I think I am a little bit older than you, but not much. So it's a similar time.
Yeah, because we're both
So
90s. I'm,
I'm actually 80s born,
oh, okay,
but
yeah.
grew up in the 90s. So I am
Yeah,
quite a bit older than you then, I think. But
yeah.
it was like back then, it
Yeah,
was like, you've got to go to university, you've
yeah,
got to become a doctor or a lawyer or,
yeah.
something like that. Because
Mm.
if you end up doing something you don't want to do, you're going to hate it. So
Yeah,
it's like, off you go to uni. So firstly, I didn't do very well at sixth form.
yeah.
To the point where I failed 3 exams and
Oh,
they kicked me out.
oh no.
Uh, if you failed two, they'd let you repeat the year.
Right. And you're like, no.
Um, and yeah, but three, they were just like, I'm sorry, you failed three, off you go. And I was like, oh.
They
So
didn't
I
give
was
you
like, what?
a chance to retake it or anything like that.
No, you couldn't do that.
Wow.
If you failed three, you had to just go.
Wow. See ya.
So I was like, right, what am I going to do? So at the time, Manchester Met Police were recruiting. So I was like,
Oh,
quite fancy that, but I think I was just slightly too young.
yeah.
So I went off to Burnley College to do public services. So I did 2 years on this college course, and then just before we're about to finish, the one of the guys who was an ex Manchester Met copper himself, I think he actually helped in the arrest of Peter Sutcliffe.
Oh, nice. Oh my God.
Um,
Nice. I love it.
yeah, it's like, yes, that's so good.
I
This
was
is now,
nice for him. It's the highlight of his career.
yeah,
Not
it's
nice
like,
like, situation. Yeah.
it's like, and with that bombshell, this is now a true crime podcast.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, so he's like, gives us a little pep talk, like, right, listen, kids, as it were.
yeah.
We were small, young adults now, by that time.
Yeah.
Well, 18. I think I was nearly 19. But he goes, don't just go and apply for the police now. You've got no life experience. They won't want you. So it's
Mm,
like, oh. So I went off on a mystical path.
yeah.
So yes, I feel your pain there.
Yeah.
But at sixth form, I failed because I did the subjects I was good at GCSE, based
Mm,
on advice from someone.
yeah.
The subjects I wanted to actually do,
Mm,
I probably would have done better at because I actually wanted to do them.
yeah. Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Whereas instead I did chemistry and physics and French because I
Wow.
was good at those at GCSE, and I managed. I think I got an E in chemistry.
Mm.
No, did I? I got an So I did
Quite
chemistry.
an accomplishment, I think.
No, no, I failed chemistry. I failed
Yeah.
physics. I
Yeah.
got an E in psychology,
No.
and I got an E in computing because I had to change the French for
Yeah.
computing,
Oh.
because it was too hard for the level of French I could do. And
Mm.
then I failed general studies too.
What was general studies?
Oh, it was just like it was like the old I think the kids call it PSE now or PSHE.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
that, but like A
Random
level version.
subject. You're like, what am I studying right now?
Yeah, it was like a bit of
Yeah.
sociology and a bit of
People
this, that, and
studies
the
kind of
other,
thing,
and
isn't it?
yeah,
Teaching
yeah,
civilized people.
yeah. It
That
was
worked
like go
out
out in the
really well.
world, how to interact with people, and how to
Yeah.
understand what people are saying, read between the lines, that kind of thing. Not
Ace
surprised I failed.
it. But you
Right.
can fail it now. It's fine.
Oh yes, yes. So I didn't need the qualifications. Obviously, look
Yeah.
where I am now. I'm a famous podcast host. Oh well, just podcast host will be fine.
Manifest that.
Yeah, manifesting. Um, so I understand where you come from with the start of your
Yeah.
journey because I had a very similar journey.
Yeah. It's very
Um,
like, I call it like a zigzag. I literally have zigzag. I found my way eventually, but I zigzag my way there. And if you'd asked me 10 years ago what I'd be doing, it certainly wouldn't have been what I'm doing now. I literally had a clear vision of where I wanted to go, but so many obstacles happen. You know, life happens, responsibilities happen, and I think it was a big lesson that if you just go with the flow in life, that was literally the biggest thing. And it doesn't matter where you end up, as long as you can put a roof over your head, as long as you can be a good, healthy person, look after yourself, look after those around you. To be honest, that for me is success. But it's taken me like 20 years of chasing the dream to work that out.
I love it. Um, okay, so
Yeah.
you've done your degree in
Mm,
media studies. You're
yes.
ready to go and be a TV presenter.
Ready. Yeah.
What happens then?
I basically came back home, as you do, and I just worked in a beautiful bakery that served the most amazing almond croissants ever. They're still going out now. They've expanded, and they just opened back then. And I was living a very cushy life at home. I was working a lot. Don't get me wrong. I was never like a sit at home do nothing. My parents made me work from like age 14 because you could back then. It was like get your first job, see you later. So I enjoyed working. I really loved working with people back then. I was very much but I was like probably more bouncy back then because I had a lot of energy. So I was about 22 at that point. Worked in that lovely bakery for a good year or two, I think, and I was doing really well there. I was meeting a lot of people. I didn't really have any vision of going anywhere else. I was just like, oh, I'll just do this and play my music in the band, and that's that. We'll just see where it goes. But my parents sat me down one day and just said, just basically kicked me up the butt and said, what are you doing with your life? Like, you've got your degree now. And I said, yeah, but I can't, like, I've got no money to move to London. And that's where I was told I got to be. And I was like, but I can't, I had a car on finance. I was like I was earning minimum wage. I was like, I can't afford to just move. I haven't saved any money. It's impossible to save money. I was doing the best I could. I wasn't really a big spender back then, but so that was, I felt the only way I could move to London, because I was like, I don't have money for a deposit on a flat or anything. So my parents did go, right, here's £1,000, get yourself an apartment, get your butt in gear, go give it a go. And I was like, cool. So I did, I knew someone who knew someone through the cafe I worked at, a musician, and he said, oh, pop up to this studio in West London, just show up there and just, see if they got a job. So I drove all the way to London, no appointment. I just turned up at reception and was like, so I just wondered if you had any jobs going. I stayed with my auntie in London, and they were like, yeah, funny enough, we have like an internship program. By the way, back then they didn't pay you for interns. You literally were like working for free. And then that became illegal. But yeah, so I then turned up the following day, met up with the events manager, who said, yeah, I've got an internship. You don't know who you'd be working with, but, just kind of float around the studio. And I got to work with an A&R lady, the events, a bit of everyone, the studio running, brought all the artists their food. And this was quite a renowned studio in London. It was on par with Abbey Road. So it was really exciting to be there, kind of like for free. And I was a lot older than the other interns. They were all 18 and I was 20, I think 23, 24 at this point. And a lot of them were like, oh, why are we working for free? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like having the best time of my life, because I was just like floating around. I was like, I'm making a cup of tea, like in a world-renowned studio. This is amazing. And I'm meeting all these amazing people, all these creatives. That's exactly where I wanted to be. And then after work, I'd either go and do a gig, because I've suddenly met all these musicians. I took myself into the open mic community, just went and kind of just played gigs and jammed and had some amazing experiences. I loved it. And then you just kind of like, it's amazing. I knew no one in London. I just went there with no friends, nothing. And then you just start expanding your network, and ended up working in a bar just to top up my bills. And I gave myself that 3-month period in London. I said, if I don't have a job by the end of this 3 months, I'm coming back home. But in month 2, I got offered a job as a personal assistant to the CEO, which now looking back, I was just cheap labor, but I had zero experience whatsoever. But I'm very grateful for the opportunity, even though it was absolutely horrifying. It's scary, but also wonderful at the same time. But yeah, and then it just kind of like, I made my own career. It was really weird. Like they never really set me any task, obviously apart from PA stuff. I took it upon myself to then kind of float around into the events department, start helping out in the evenings, working extra hours. But I enjoyed it, and I think that's something that's maybe kind of fizzled out now is people don't want to do anything else for free. But I think you should, but be smart about it. There were some things I wasn't smart about. I was just like giving my time to everybody. But there were some things I look back and I really value that. I'm like, oh, that was good I did that because I met that person.
Mm.
So yeah, and then here we are.
Yeah, I like it. So obviously you're not presently in London,
No,
and you're not presently working in the music or event scene.
no.
So talk us through how you went from there to kind of back to Bournemouth, as it were.
Oh yes. So I mean, long story short, because I've done a whole presentation on this on my career, careers day. I basically worked my way up in the events. I sort of switched, ran a private music school in the studio. So I ended up running that. Again, they didn't give me any job roles. I just made it my own and made a success out of their private school. So my job was to make sure that any self-funding artists that came in got industry experiences, they got gigs, they got like they didn't want any refunds. So that was my job to make sure that they were having a very enriching experience and had success. And we did have a lot of success stories. There's a lot of artists I worked with and kind of like nurtured, and they're now like TikTok musicians. They're huge, and some of them they've all got successful careers, which is amazing. I was very happy with that. So basically, long story short, I started running my own projects, my own live music projects in London, and then I think I just ran out of steam. I went through a couple of burnouts in that time, couple of like I'd call mini breakdowns. I just was pushing myself way too hard. No one was telling me stop. I was in a relationship I wasn't happy with, but I didn't really, again, money wise, I didn't know how to leave and move out. He kind of like followed me to London. And I was like, I thought we were done. And then he was like, oh, I'm coming to London. And I was like, okay. So we tried to make that work. So it was all kind of a bit of a situation. I finally managed to save enough money to move out. And yeah, I think eventually after about a year or two, I just burned out. I was like, I haven't got anything left for London anymore. I was like coming up to 28, 29, and I realized I just wasn't saving any money. And I didn't like the fact that it was just bleeding me dry. It doesn't like I was able to put a roof over my head, but I didn't like the fact I had no backup. So I decided to move back to the south, down to Dorset. I missed the ocean for a start. I think London at that point was really going downhill. It was that moment where it was like it wasn't the London I went to initially. Like the London I came
Mm.
to was very vibrant. Everyone was very welcoming. It was very fun. You never really felt lonely. There's always someone to go and see. Then eventually, I think it kind of like I don't know what happened, but it's always like a fight on the way to you on your way to work, and you're like everyone's yelling at each other, and it's like everyone's a bit strange, and I was like everything's felt dirty, and I was like, what is going on? Like this isn't the place I fell in love with, and I realized sort of became my ocean soul at that point. I was kind of quite alternative at one point, believe it or not, and then I just suddenly came into like my ocean being and was like, I need the ocean in my life. So I ended up coming back down to the south, I think just before COVID,
Mm.
started
Okay.
again.
Yeah. I mean, I live on the coast as well,
Yeah.
which I'm sure everyone would know by now. But
Yeah.
if they don't,
Yeah.
surprise. Um,
Why not?
but and it feels like to me, it feels open.
Yes.
And like I grew up in inland, as it
Yeah.
were, and then I moved down here, and then
Mm.
I did a stint back inland, and I was like, oh no, it's enclosed, and
Yeah.
then so we came back, and I was just like, oh, I can breathe, it's
Yeah.
open.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
what it is.
I think you just reach a point where, like, I've got relatives in London. They love it. They absolutely love it. And I'm like, fair enough. I just feel like you either fall in love with it even more, or you fall out of love with it.
Mm,
And you end up wherever you're meant to be at the end of the day. Like sometimes I can't get to the beach, but knowing it's there just makes me feel so nice. I'm like, oh, I can go there, and it's free at the moment.
yeah,
Who knows? They
yeah,
might start charging you to go
yeah.
to the beach,
Well,
but at the
yeah,
moment it's free.
we know what Bournemouth, Christchurch, and Poole Council are like.
Honestly, I'm like, enjoy the fresh air and enjoy the local parks while you can, because at some point, probably going to end up charging for it. So I hope they don't. But
Okay,
yeah.
so you moved back home then, but at that time you were still, well, not home, sorry. You moved back to the South Coast.
Yes.
At that point, you're still doing events though, right?
Yeah, I brought my music project down to the south. We were playing gigs at what was Labato a lot. And then kind of COVID literally started to sort of enter our lives very slowly. Well, I was kind of, I did leave my job in London. I kind of managed to go very flexible, and then I eventually left. And I had one client down here for freelance. I said, Mum, can I live with you for a bit just while I sort this out? And she was like, yeah. And then one client turned into two, two turned into three. And that's how the freelance stuff came into play. Because I think the social media came in and the marketing side, because I'd been marketing events for, 6 years in London by myself with no experience. I was my job to get social media off the ground, my job to help the artists market themselves in a way that, really got them off the ground digitally. And so I kind of think someone just went, oh, why don't you do social media? And I was like, no one does that for a living. Like, this was at a time when it really wasn't a thing. So, and then I just went, all right, let's see how it goes. I had a client, someone just said, oh, look, this girl does that and they'll do it. I did it quite cheaply back then. Yeah, and I think I was quite surprised how quickly it all kind of lifted off. And that's how I kind of managed to transition. Because I think, when you're transitioning, it's the hardest thing, because you almost feel like you are jumping off a cliff. You feel like you're about to
Mm.
jump off and you're like, I got no clue how this is going to go. But from everything, when I was, trying to pluck up the courage to do that, I look back on everything I had achieved and I was like, you know what? Everything I never had experience before, I've managed. Somehow I've managed to make it work. And then, okay, I might have reached an end to everything, but then I thought, this is it. I really want this lifestyle. I wanted a lifestyle where you didn't have to pay to go up the road, for a walk, or it didn't cost you £5 every time you left the house. You know what I mean? I just felt
Mm.
freer. So that's how I kind of landed back home.
Nice, I like it.
Mm,
Okay, so let's pause there on social media, etc.
lovely.
And let's just segue nicely into the questions.
Hmm.
Get those out of the way, and then we can talk more about social media. I want to get your take on a few things as a social
Hmm.
media expert, and then
Mm.
we'll do what you want to do when you grow up, and then we'll wrap. Well, we won't. We don't say the word wrap up, because
Oh,
as soon as people hear that on YouTube, that's it. They're out.
oh, yes. No, we'd say we
So
do stay to the end.
yeah, stay to the end. Stay to the end,
Big surprise.
and don't forget to subscribe and
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yes. All
Right. So the questions. So you've alluded to your age slightly,
that.
but what we want to know is what's been your favorite age so far?
30, 100%. Being 30, I know everyone was like turning 30 is the worst thing in the world. And it's like, no, I hated my 20s. As you probably have come to the conclusion, it was literally like a whirlwind in my 20s. So turning 30 was 100%. It was like a new life. It was really weird. As
Hmm.
soon as I turned 30, everything went so much better. So don't dread your 30s, everyone. It's amazing.
No, 30s are quite good.
Yeah.
Cool. Question number two.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to this answer to this one. What is your favorite quote? This could be a movie quote, a meme, a motivational quote, or any other quote you can think of.
Oh, do you know what? What comes to mind, and that I often do repeat, is this wonderful female diver, and I think she's kind of marine conservationist, Sylvia Earle. She says, "No water, no life, no green, no blue." And I just thought, my whole business is based on the ocean. And I believe the ocean has its own ecosystem. And we can learn so much from that ecosystem in business. We all work together, we all thrive together. It creates a more flourishing reef, as it were. And that's how I see like the world as one big reef. So I think what she says, as much as I love the ocean as well, it's very much relative to us and how we function as society. So
I love
definitely
that.
definitely check out Sylvia Earle. She's amazing.
Sylvia Earle.
Sylvia Earle.
So, yeah, she's going to pop up on the YouTube now, on the description, because we've
Yeah,
mentioned her.
she's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I donate
She,
to her mission every month, Mission Blue. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
I was going to say she could sponsor this episode if she likes.
She's amazing. Well, she's well in her 80s. I think she's almost 90 now. She's still diving all over the world.
Oh, I think I've seen her. Was she
Yeah.
on
Netflix.
the Chris Hemsworth thing?
Oh, have
Did
you
he
seen
go
that?
diving with her? Okay,
May well
I'm
have.
gonna look at that.
Yeah, may well
I'm
have.
gonna
Yeah.
look at that.
There's a also Netflix documentary called Mission Blue. Amazing, amazing documentary.
I'm gonna put that on the to be watched.
Yes.
Um, cool. So, question number three: Google Suite or Microsoft 365?
Uh, uh, Microsoft gives me the heebie-jeebies. Definitely Google Suite. I'm a Gmail user all the way now. 100%. I used to use Microsoft a lot. I became an Apple lady and a G Suite lady.
Hmm,
Yes, transitioned.
interesting. So how did you find the swap to Apple?
I was really nervous at first. I was like, no, I'm going to be a Windows user for my whole life. But changing to Apple, I loved it. And now everything just feels like smoother, it's quicker, it's in sync all the time. Yeah, I do love it. Join the
Hmm.
Apple life, it's amazing. And the electronics last so much longer. I found it, maybe not the phones, but the laptops. I just found like I went through like all my laptops always started bugging up and everything, and I hate it. So having a Mac lasts me like I've had the same Mac for like 8 years, maybe, long time,
Yeah,
still functioning great.
yeah.
Maybe I should get.
Um, they are good for that. I started off in well, I started off it with Apple.
Yeah,
I used to use an old Mac
yeah,
and an iPad. But
mm.
then I had to swap it because it was too old, and I had to go the Windows route because that's what all my clients were using was
Oh,
Microsoft. And like
yes, yeah.
I know they say that PDFs and Microsoft are the
Mhm.
same on Mac and Apple, and it might be now, but like
Mm.
5 years ago there was color differences and
Yeah,
there was different stuff. So I just ended up going Windows, and I haven't
yeah.
managed to transition back yet. Uh,
One day,
one day.
join the
Um,
life.
yeah, that's it. I do have an Apple phone, an Apple Watch, an iPad, and
Oh,
AirPods.
but
It's
that
only the
sounds
laptop
quite
that's
hard
Windows.
with a Windows laptop. Does it
Oh, they
all
don't work.
work?
They don't. No, it doesn't integrate. This
Oh,
is I don't use them together. I use the
yeah,
phone for the picture, but
yeah,
it's a external camera,
yeah,
external mics,
yeah.
headphones, and all that jazz. So,
You've pimped it
uh, right. Question number four. Um, I was just looking at this, and I was like.
up.
When I used to ask this as a different
Right.
question, but
Yeah,
it got like really confusing, and
yeah.
people were focused on the first aspect of it rather than the second. So
Okay.
what I'll do is, firstly, I'll say, what app can you not live without?
Ooh, what app can I not live without? It's got to be Canva. It's got to
You
be
love
Canva.
Canva.
Yeah, I literally couldn't do my job without it. All
I
the
like it.
graphics I make, everything like and I joined Canva from day one when it
Oh,
first launched.
nice.
And I'm such a loyal Canva customer. So
Yeah.
definitely couldn't live without Canva.
Last week when I was supposed to be doing my tax return, I did my Canva Basic Essentials instead.
Oh, did you?
And then I was like, "Wait, that's me!" And I even put the badge on my LinkedIn. I got
Yeah.
the certificate,
Yeah.
and then I realized that it was the basics. I was like, "Oh,
Right, next time you got to do the next one. Well, if there is a next one, I think they
I
have
think they
other
do
levels.
graphic design essentials
Yeah.
next." I think
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to do that in a couple of weeks once I've recovered
Add
from
that.
paying the tax man.
Yeah, exactly. Add
Yeah,
that to your
yeah,
to-do list.
yeah, emotionally and
Hugely.
physically. But so when I was talking about this a second ago, question four. Question
Yeah.
four used to be, and don't jump into an answer because I'll explain a bit more. But
Okay.
it made me think because of your theme, your ocean theme, that
Mm,
maybe we should have asked it this way. So it
mm.
used to be if you're stranded on a desert island, what app can you not live without?
Hmm.
Um, and I would guess with your theme, you probably wouldn't want an app on the desert island. You'd just be there to enjoy it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'd be like, throw the phone in the ocean. Let
Yeah,
me be like, cave woman on this island. I want to just grow my own fruit, play maybe a ukulele, give me a ukulele. I'll just,
Yeah.
learn some songs while I'm there, keep me amused, sing my
I
heart out.
suppose though, with the phone, you
Mm,
could do like travel blogs and travel vlogs and stuff.
this is
So
true.
maybe you'd want YouTube.
Imagine. I think you're onto
Yeah.
something. Are you gonna?
Uh,
I think I should just be asked to be left on an island and just vlog about it. Just
yeah.
leave me here.
We'll record you from afar so that we can
Yeah,
make a TV or more YouTube footage out of it.
yeah. I guarantee. You think I'm crazy now? Guarantee day two would be absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Uh,
The problem with the question
yeah,
was there was stranded on a desert island bit.
yeah, yeah,
So I was thinking, it's like, what app what is your ride or die app? You can't
yeah,
live a day without this app.
yeah.
And then people were thinking like, how am I going to get off the strand? How am I going to get off the desert island?
No, and I'm like,
Um,
just leave me there.
you're
I'm
just
not
like,
even
just leave
thinking
me. I
about
was like,
that.
no phone, just get rid
No.
of it. I'm free.
Maybe, do you know what? Maybe Spotify because I do love my music and I do love a good playlist. So I was like maybe my Spotify if I did have to have one, Spotify would be it.
I do like a Spotify. What
Then I
kind
can
of
listen to your podcast while I'm there.
Yeah, interestingly. Well, firstly, right, don't let me forget. I want to know what
Yeah.
type of music you like, but I'll
Okay.
answer I'll talk about the podcast first.
Yeah.
So, interestingly, the podcast goes out on Spotify as a video and as audio.
Mm,
It goes on Apple Podcasts as audio, and it goes on YouTube as video. And
mm,
there's bonus episodes on YouTube,
mm.
as well as other content that I've done. Like I did a vlog on Cove Castle,
Oh.
um, and so we went taking photos, me and my friend, and I kind of vlogged it. Yeah, that came with its problems. Apparently, this camera that I'm using to record this, if you plug in the microphone adapter, it
Mm.
shuts off the on-camera adapter. Sorry, the on-camera microphone. So there's a lot of footage with me talking like this, and
Oh no.
they're like, you can't hear it. But
No.
anyway, um, so
Yeah.
with regard to Spotify, I
Mm.
find that it's mostly men that will watch YouTube, and
Mm.
ladies will listen to the podcast on Spotify.
Interesting.
Yeah, and especially if I've had a lady guest,
Mhm.
then I will get more on Spotify than I will watches on YouTube.
That makes sense. But do you know what? I'm probably like more YouTube than I am Spotify for podcasts. I love watching or having it
Mm.
on in the background, like a bit of TV while I'm working. I love it. In fact, I have YouTube on most of the time in the background. Just makes me feel like I'm like with people. But yeah, weirdly, I don't really use Spotify to listen to podcasts. Isn't that
Yeah,
strange?
it's strange.
I'm putting a kink in that stat now. I'm ruining it.
Yes.
Like,
Well,
oh, I've gone out the window
obviously it's
now.
a majority rather than
Yes,
a
that
yeah.
makes sense for sure. Because
Um,
yeah,
but I can't listen to stuff or watch stuff while I'm working because I
mm,
get distracted by one or the other. So
yeah,
if I'm working and I try and watch something, I'll end up engrossed in work.
yeah,
Or if I'm listening to a podcast, even if I'm walking, sometimes I will disappear into my head, and
yeah.
then I'll be like, "Oh, what were they saying on the podcast?"
And all
And
of a
then I'll be
sudden
like,
you're
"Oh,
in the scene. Yeah,
yeah." So I like to listen to a lot of music,
yeah.
which nicely segues me round again to what type of music do you listen to on Spotify then?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's literally a mashup of everything. Like it's not one genre. It would be like a classic choir through to like some crazy like Latin like beats. I'm like, but I really do like what do I call it? Lo-fi. I really love lo-fi
Oh
music. It's just
yeah,
kind of new genre, but I find it really like it's got that beat, but it's also got that kind of like focus in the background. It's a really nice combination of the two.
mm.
And then I do love like I'll love a bit of Jack Johnson randomly. But then I love a bit of like dance music. So my playlist is hilarious. It's just a complete mashup of everything. But I do have an Aloha Social work and chill playlist, which has kind of got a taste of beats that I think are good to work to, but also kind of make you feel like you're on a beautiful tropical island. So
Nice. I like it. Send me the link for that. We'll put it in
yeah,
the description.
perfect. Yeah, it's really I hope
Um,
you like it.
okay, so
Yeah.
music then leads me on to obviously as I progress through the podcast, I get a
Mhm.
little bit better at it. I like to think, I hope so anyway. But I've spent a lot of time now thinking what would the guests slash listeners like to hear. And I
Yeah.
thought of a question earlier and then I forgot to go back to it. So
No
you
worries.
mentioned being in a band.
Yes.
What music what instrument did you play? What type of music did you play?
Oh, great question. So I played the saxophone, guitar at times, ukulele, and I was the singer. My artist name was Yasmin Natasha. You can still find me on Spotify, by the way. And the genre I kind of created was called Sunshine Pop. So it was basically a good combination of like even a slight touch of bossa nova. I was really into like Latin bossa nova back then. There's artists like Astrid Gilberto and the sax player Stan Getz, who I kind of really aspired to. Yeah, and we used to play, and I called it Sunshine Pop because it was very happy music, but it was also like quite meaningful lyrics. It was quite poetic. I like to think anyway. A lot of the time I was writing it during my breakdowns, but the melody was so happy. You kind of like it was just a perfect blend of like the sadness and the happiness.
I
It's like
like
I'm
it.
having a breakdown, but it's really lovely music. Like, it was really nice. I like to disguise my depression.
I've seen that a lot though with music.
Yeah,
It's like the best stuff comes from those kind of episodes,
yeah,
and then that's where you get the best music. And it's like
yeah.
it's like songs about a sad theme, but they're really happy, upbeat songs.
Yeah, because I was like, I think music should be happy a lot of the time. Like, I can't really listen to I can't really do like the hard hitting emotional songs. I personally can't really listen to them. So, but I thought, you know what? The lyrics are there if someone really wants to hear the lyrics, and then the melody's also there if they just want a good beat, like if they just want to have a
Mm.
good time and feel good. So I thought that, if they want to listen to the lyrics, they'll be like, oh crap, what's going on with that? So
Yeah.
I think yeah, if you listen to it, hopefully you'll be able to distinguish the two. And a
Well,
lot of it was about travel as well. A lot of it was about escaping, about sunny places, and feeling or what hearing coconuts falling off a tree. It was that kind of vision I wanted to paint for people because if I was feeling down, that's where my mind would want to take me. So I guess that kind of like leads me into travel marketing. It's
I
kind of how
love it.
without even knowing it.
Yeah, we will. I'll put that in the. I'll put your band name and your Spotify link in the
Oh,
description too.
yeah,
So there you go, ticked off. When all the listeners will have been sat there going, she says she was in a band, but what does she do? I've
yeah.
answered that question now. Boom.
Are they going to be
Right.
like, what is this? This lady's been everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's the journey. That's what it's all about.
Yes,
This is what the
exactly.
whole podcast is about.
The zigzag.
Okay, let's get these last two questions done,
Lovely. Exciting.
and then we'll talk about social media
Yeah,
some more.
love it.
Otherwise, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah,
Though I'm sure we could have you back for an episode 2 where we could talk about
yeah.
all sorts of other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, question number 5 then.
Mm.
How many unread emails do you have on your phone right now?
Oh, I checked just before the podcast. 23. I'm very on it with it. I hate unread notifications on any app. I'm very organized like that.
Find that's quite the theme with regard to freelancers.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just the people I hang around with that agree to come on the show.
Maybe. Yeah. A
Birds
bit.
of a feather and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apart from me with I think I've
Yeah.
got 200 today, I
Oh,
think.
no, that gives me anxiety. I
Oh,
can't.
they're just, it's most of them is like, it's either Apple bills that I need to move over to my business email account,
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or it's like a mailing list. Like I saw something the other
Yeah.
day. It's like top 5 marketing trends for
Yeah.
2025 or something. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
must read that. I must go back.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a
but
lot.
yeah, okay, cool. Now, question 6. This
Yes.
is like an optional one. So it used to be a thing. It was a bit like sometimes it didn't land too well. It didn't land badly, but
Yeah.
I've pre-screened you. We're gonna ask it. I'm sure you've got a great answer.
Yeah.
So, question 6: if you could afford any car, you don't need to worry about the outlay or the maintenance costs, etc. What car are you having in the driveway?
So I think it's going to sound really boring, but I actually really like the Jeep Renegade.
Oh, okay.
Box like Jeep because I was like, it's small enough that I feel like comfortable to park it, but it also kind of looks like a 4x4. And I do love a Jeep. I love a Jeep. I love an adventure car. I'm definitely not like I like it because it's really open as well. Like I've got a Fiat 500, and the reason I chose it is because it's very a really good vision around. I think my first car I had was very much like it was a Vauxhall Tigra, the old version. So it was very like compact. I couldn't see out the bloody windows,
Mm.
and we didn't have parking sensors then. So I like a nice car that I'm slightly high up. I can park it, and it looks funky. Feel like I'm going to Jurassic Park in it. That would do me. Easy to
Nice.
maintain as well. Done.
Yeah, I like it. I think the last guest might have said
Yeah.
Jeep Renegade.
No way. There you go.
Did
Now
they?
Jeep Renegade are going to show up on under your podcast.
Yeah, I was like, if Jeep want to sponsor this episode of the
Yeah.
podcast, then do feel free.
And if they want to give me one, that'd be fine too.
Yeah. So I would think that they'd chuck a couple of £100 this way to sponsor the podcast rather than give you a whole
Yeah.
Jeep. But you never know.
You
The
never
world we live in.
don't ask, you don't get in life.
That's it. Don't ask, you don't get. Okay,
Okay.
cool. So that is the questions. Great answers there. Loved those. So
Mm.
let's talk about social media quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll find out what you want to do if and when you grow up. And
Mm.
then we'll prepare ourselves with an outro
Yeah, sounds good.
where you can tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah.
So, social media then. We alluded to this earlier. I've said that a
Mm.
second time now. They're going to be like, that's your session word.
No, it's your word for now. We all have a word that like sticks with us for a bit. Alluded. I like that.
My
Good
other
word.
one is allegedly.
Allegedly. Ooh,
Yeah.
someone's on
Yeah.
trial.
Yeah, you can slip that in anywhere. Allegedly.
Just
Okay.
love it.
Now then, so
Yeah.
obviously, with your social media
Mm.
has over the years since we've been involved in it,
Yeah.
5 years, etc., or maybe a bit more for you.
Mm.
The landscape's changed, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Um,
Tell me about it.
so when I first started posting as the Richard Langdon, the Contemporary PA, we made these pretty images on Canva.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it didn't even necessarily have to be a picture of you at the time. It could be like a picture of a chessboard, and it was like,
Yeah.
talk
Wow.
about your admin strategy and stuff.
Yeah.
And then as time
Oh,
went on, we kind of then it had to have your
yeah.
face on it so that people would interact on it. And then
Yeah.
as we went a bit further, we started this whole carousels thing.
Yeah.
And those carousel, I've talked about this before on the show, but it
Same.
was the weirdest thing in the world.
Mm,
It was like all these designers were
mm.
like selling to each other via their carousels. It was a proper incestuous circle. It
Yeah.
was so strange.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
but
was.
but everyone had to do carousels. That was the way forward. We all had to get to 10,000 followers on Instagram by doing carousels.
Holds
So
engagement.
yeah, we went from there to
Yeah.
IGTV.
Yes. Oh my
Then
gosh.
they introduced lives.
Yeah.
I love lives.
Yeah. I do like a good live.
They should bring those back. They should. We've spoke about this on the show again, and I think we're kind of getting a group together, like a little rally group. Like make these top
Yeah.
priority again,
Yeah.
old Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
And
it.
then
Come back.
we got reels,
Yeah.
and then which we'll gloss over because and now recently, what with the events of a couple of weeks ago with a certain well-known platform
Mm.
that is fairly new on the scene, but with those events, we're now getting lots and lots of changes on Instagram again.
So many. Yeah.
So with that massive intro, what I want to know is how you've changed your account over the years,
Yeah.
and also your thoughts on. We mentioned that this earlier stagnant account revival,
Mm-hmm. Massive.
and then I want to talk about the kind of modern kind of
Yeah.
approach to content creation, which
Yes.
we've kind of glossed over as we go, but
Yeah.
it's very real now. So tell us
Mm.
as succinctly as you can, because I'm conscious of us
Yes.
running out of time,
No.
about the niching down of your accounts, etc., and your account growth over the last few years.
So niche, I know it's kind of a word that's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, but it is still so important, if not more now than it ever has been, to have a niche. And when we say niche, it's about, okay, so I'm a social media manager, for example. So, or I'm a marketer, like who am I talking to? What kind of clients do I want to work with? I was working with everyone and everyone. And I fell out of love with my own marketing because I was like, oh, I can post anything in the world of social media and marketing. Like, but I like direction. And I think me falling out of love with it made me realize I didn't have any direction with my own marketing. And I was like, I'm supposed to be helping other people with theirs, but I can't even love mine. So overnight, I went, what clients do I love working with? Like, what do they do? Who am I? Like, what do I want to write about? And travel, I had a couple of travel clients at the time, and I was like, I love writing about travel. And I realized it was a wonderful thing to write about. It performed very well on social media because I love the fact you didn't feel like you had to sell. I feel like it was very much more inspiring and then selling. I called it passive selling. So niching down to travel honestly changed my whole game. I've now attracted so many travel followers or travel agents, and now I work with them on a membership. I create content for them, I help direct them with coaching, and it's just transformed everything. It's transformed my business. I fell so madly back in love with my own socials. And I can actually pinpoint topics to talk about that actually helps people. Like it's informative, it's valuable, hopefully, and it's and it's insightful, but it also sells me. So I think I lead with kind of inspiration first at the moment. But not forgetting to kind of sell what I do as well. And I think for anyone who has a stagnant account, go back to basics with it. You know, think about who you want to target, who you want to talk to, and particularly in travel, what's working well with content is having a very specific topic. Instead of we used to be like, oh, how to grow your social media. And it's like, well, that's such a broad topic, but that's not going to really hit the nail on the head. How can we splice up that topic and dissect it even more? Maybe it's like how to grow your followers over, how to get to your first 1,000 followers. You know, be very specific with your content and make it very relevant to your target audience, but know who to talk to. You know, I use Google, a little tip is I use Google to find commonly asked questions in my niche. I go travel agent marketing or, you know, hotel marketing. And then I see what people are asking. Gives me great content ideas that
Oh, I
actually,
love that.
yeah, it's actually what people are looking for. I can hopefully help them.
So, do you use then, with regard to your content ideas,
I
do
got
you
dead.
also use ChatGPT to help you?
I actually don't, you know. So be
No.
very surprised. I will use it for things maybe like I never ask it to create content for me because I really don't like the way it writes.
Mm.
I've actually been coaching people to go back to basics and write from the heart. And I've given them some tips and techniques to help write from the heart and then kind of channel the inner storyteller. So like things like the content cards, which is a physical tool, to map out, and it's all designed for them to channel their own unique tone of voice. Because at the end of the day, like ChatGPT is good. I think if you are going to use it, write from the heart first, then ask it to polish it for you. Because if, like, you
Mm.
know, not everyone's I'm quite terrible at grammar, believe it or not. So perhaps I always have to like look back and make sure it makes sense. But with ChatGPT, I'd say if anyone's doing their own marketing, you know, use it to help you. Maybe ask it things like, "What can I post to my stories as this business? Here are my goals." You have to nurture it. I can I can sniff a ChatGPT caption a mile away, let me tell you. And I'll be like, one of my clients, I'll be like, "Did you use ChatGPT for that?" And they're like, "How did you know?" Because I can see, I've done it. I've tested it out before. I personally find that human to human marketing still very much dominates. So ChatGPT is a great tool to help people have a strategy and, you know, get those ideas to help their own ideas flow. But I wouldn't rely on it for caption writing for sure.
Yeah, you definitely can see them, can't you? I mean, for
Yeah,
me, firstly, the first clue
yeah,
is the Z in everything for the
yeah,
Americanized spelling.
yeah,
But then, yeah,
yeah.
you can read it, and there's
Classic.
also quite a few
Yeah.
emojis in there usually as well.
And always
Um,
let's and embrace. There are two words that it loves to use. And I don't know where it got it from, but it just won't let it go. I'm like, stop saying embrace.
yeah,
Embrace.
it's like me with the lewd.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
are like the the live chat GBT. But no,
yeah,
that's your word of the month. We'll let you off on that. But chat GBT just won't let embrace and let's go.
yeah.
So, which is
I
really
like
funny.
it. Okay, so what with social media changing then? I would love those tips, by the way.
Nice.
Providing real value in my podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is what it's all about. It's not
It
about your
is.
journey. I just want to provide value via other people.
Absolutely. And
Um,
I love seeing people love their socials. Like I said, a bit like Sylvia Earle, like if we have a flourishing reef, then I believe opportunities there for everybody. We just need more people doing it. So,
yeah. With regards to ChatGPT and
yeah,
its captions, then
yeah,
the world of social media is now taking another bit of a turn. It's been a little bit of a while now. It
yeah,
used to be we had all these polished reels, didn't we, with all
yeah,
the hooks and the
yeah,
questions and everything, and they were all like well edited, well put together. And
Yeah.
there is still a market for that, obviously.
Yeah.
But the world is kind of changing. I saw a thing the other day about I was watching about YouTube channels,
Mm.
and even that, like nowadays, people are watching like basically raw footage of like the example was someone going to the gym,
Yeah.
whereas in the past
Mm.
they would have used all the ring lights and everything, and they would have
Oh, yeah.
dimmed it down on the lens and the camera and everything, and
Perfect.
ND
Yeah.
filters, and they would have
Yeah.
sprayed themselves up and stuff.
Yeah.
And this person's literally rocking up with their iPhone, a clamp, and
Mm.
just recording it, and then they voice over it afterwards. So, what's your thoughts on this kind of raw social media?
Love.
Um,
Oh, sorry, I couldn't wait to answer that one because I'm
oh
like,
wait,
I love it so much. I'm calling it, I'm giving it a name. So this year is the Realfluencer. So it's basically real moments, real people doing real things. It's because I think that's more relatable. Like if you see a normal person in the gym working out, that hits you probably more than watching some bodybuilder like doing his thing. Like fair enough, if you want to be a bodybuilder, that's different, but like if you're just someone who's looking to get motivated to go to the gym, who are you going to be more influenced by? Probably the real guy, because you think, oh, you know what, I could do that as well. And the same, like this is what I've noticed in travel, is that a lot of these beautiful hotspots are being marketed by influencers, and it's wonderful because they're creators at the end of the day. But if you're paying someone to an influencer to get the word out about your business and influence other people to come and enjoy the experience too, I would match the influencer to your business and how many followers you have. You know, micro influencers, believe it or not, which I think are under how many, I mean, it's changed over the years what a micro influencer is, but I think it's around like maybe a 10,000 mark. I think it's about a nano influencer. I think is slightly less, is a lot less,
mm,
but a micro influencer will have sometimes 100% more engagement than an influencer. So it's about
mm,
choosing the right person, because people are going to believe, who are they going to believe more as a recommendation? Their friend, or someone who could be their friend, or someone who's like a model, superstar model, waking up all like they haven't slept, and you know what I mean, and it all polished. Because and I like, you know, for some hotels it works really well because that is their clientele. Maybe they're looking for like a slightly higher end, the luxury. But if you're, you know, a regular hotel looking to attract people, perhaps that's not the strategy to go down. You would probably go down a Realfluencer route and go for someone who's a bit more real, you know, can actually just diarize their experience in a way that, you know, relates and makes someone go, oh, you know what, that looks really nice, I could do that as well. So
mm.
hello, Realfluencer era. I'm here for it.
I like it. It kind of slots in with we had Ben
Mm,
on the show a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, 4 weeks ago. I can't remember now, but
mm.
it's. I think Ben was doing the circuit when you would have been uh, networking back in
Yeah,
a while ago. He was the
yeah.
private healthcare guy. That's what he was.
Oh
But
yes,
now
yes, yes. Oh
he
my
is
gosh.
now the personal branding guy.
Wow. Yeah,
And
he was
so,
great.
and I've seen in the Guardian, they're talking about, your guide to a building a personal brand in the 2025. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a thing. It's an up and coming thing. We heard the term realfluencer here
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Make sure you get that one patented.
I will. I know. I was quite proud. I mean, it might be out there somewhere, but I was like, yeah, okay. I created it around the end of 2024, and I was like, I'm going to start really talking about it. And this is the first time I've actually been talking about it. So it's an honor.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, with regard to my own social media, it
Yeah.
was I was at
Yeah.
a point where I've had the same clients for a long time, and I've done long, I
Mm,
provide services to them,
mm.
and then so I have no capacity because as
Yeah.
soon as I do to take other new clients on, sorry, full
Mm.
stop, their new sentence, um, I was like. So I was like, I can't do
Yeah.
salesy posts because if
No.
I have an inquiry, then I have to say to someone, look, you can go on the waiting list, or I can perhaps fit you in.
Yes.
And as soon as you say
Yes.
perhaps, then it's like, oh no, I'm out.
No.
So
It's
so
yeah.
I was like, what can I do with my content? And
Mm,
I don't want to go. I didn't want to go down the whole,
mm.
here's a top tip for admin. When you're
Yeah.
dealing with emails, the 3Ds,
Yeah. Yeah.
all that kind of jazz. I was like,
Yeah.
no. So I was like, what can I do? So I was like, if I start a podcast, and talk to my friends, my circle, my people,
Yeah.
then we can have a few clips out of that. That provides me with some social media. I was like, that'll do. Boom. And it might express my expertise in inverted commas for the listeners.
Yeah.
Or it might, but it wasn't it wasn't the sole purpose. The sole purpose was great conversations and to learn about people's journeys and share them.
Yeah. And
But
it's
from there, yeah, and it was like keep it nice. Don't have all these fancy kind of keep it easy, simple kind of, not loads of
nice.
edits and stuff like that.
Yes.
But from there, what I found actually was that if I just from the podcast, you get a bit more confidence talking on camera. So then on my Instagram, I've now started doing stories. I've now done a couple of like other bits and bobs. I was just like, so my social media aim is just share who Richard is.
That's perfect. That is literally the strategy for 2025 is share. Ultimately, that is what I mean. If we're talking Instagram, obviously every platform's different, but Instagram, they've gone back to basics. They just want you to share and inspire and inform. That's it. They want you to share your experience, and this goes back to like the kind of content I think is really working is behind the scenes stuff, like literally like you're doing, who you are. I call it the 5 whys. It's like the okay, now I've got to remember them: the who, what, when, where, why, and even the how. So we add, the 5 A's, the 5 W's, and an H. But it's going back to the basics of that. And I think that's a great. If you're new to marketing, or you're like you've been stagnant, you're like I just don't really know. Like you're now well on your way. But if you're someone who's like I just don't know where to go and I don't have a budget to pay someone, go back to the basics. Share what you're up to. Share what you love. Share what you're passionate about. These were the kind of things that we were sharing around COVID, wasn't it? Like your garden. It was like, I put a picture of your garden, you get like 50 likes on it. And it was like, it's going back to the basics. I guarantee that over, carousels are important. If you have to do an informative post, do it, but do mix it up with authentic stuff that's happening with you. At the end of the day, people followed you for you, didn't they? They didn't follow, just for, I don't know, a tip, or maybe they did, but they're nosy. They're being nosy. They want to find out who you are and make their mind up. Is this someone I want to work with?
Yeah, I love it. That is a fantastic point to start our outro, Yaz. So tell everyone where they can find you then.
So you can find me obviously on Instagram. I streamlined all my socials, so it is mainly Instagram. It is TikTok as well, but I mainly just talk about social media life on there. So you can also find me on Pinterest if you're looking for a lot of different tips, especially in travel. All of them are Aloha Social, but you can find all my links at thisisallohasocial.com.
Perfect. And I'll put all that in the description so people can follow you. We'll also put your Spotify playlist in there, and we'll put your Spotify channel for your music in there.
Thank you so much.
But it's been great to have you on the show. It's been great to speak.
It's been amazing.
For the second time in 5 years?
Yeah. Not bad. Hey, see you in another.
Yeah.
I've had a great
in another
time.
2.5 years.
Yeah, that's what I to people. I'm like, thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on the show, Yasmin.
Thanks, Richard.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
No
problem at all.
Me.
So yes, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I will just point out that this prime light here, that you may have noticed in the background, which isn't normally here, is on loan from one of my clients. But I thought it'd be great for the back of the video, and you never know, they may sponsor an episode later down the line. If you do enjoy watching the show, listening to the show, whichever your preferred method, you can now support us on Patreon, where at the end of the show you'll get a mention. So that's with our Rad Supporter tier. So do go and check that out if you're interested. If not, okay, cool. We'll just keep making the show anyway. But we would appreciate any help. So thanks for listening. Thanks to Yasmin for coming on. I'll be back next week with another guest. But in the interim, peace out.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Rad-Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite platform. Always happy to chat, so hit me up in the DMs. And I'll see you on the next Rad-Venture.